With less than 1 week left in this season's summer transfer window, who should your club sign in the remaining days? Let's get into the video. Hi, hello, and welcome to another episode on the Football for the Fans podcast. My name is Ian, and a couple of things before we kick off today's video. First of all, thank you so much for the support that you've given us. It's been an eye-opener, I guess, and we hope that we can continue improving the quality of the content on this channel through the feedback that you give us. And the second thing is Rita unfortunately will not be with us for this episode, but she will join us in a future video. So today we're going to talk about sensible transfers that your football team should make in the remaining days in the transfer window. And in no particular order, I'll kick things off with the European champions, Chelsea. With Chelsea Football Club, I think with the signing of Romelu Lukaku from Inter Milan to Chelsea makes Chelsea a complete team. They have variety in every position. And if I was to pick one position where I feel they may need to strengthen is in the defense. If you look at the players they have in the defense, such as Rudiger, Aspilicueta, Thiago Silva, and Kurt Zuma, I think the centre-back position is duly covered since they play with three centre-backs, so they have a variety depending on the opponents that they play. If you move to the left-hand side, they have Alonso, who seems to be the main pick for Thomas Tuchel, and the substitute for Alonso would naturally be Ben Chilwell. But when you go to the right-hand side, the right wing-back slot specifically, the only recognized player who I think fits perfectly in that role is Reece James. And I feel going into a Premier League season with the number of fixtures that these teams that play in the Champions League have, it's a bit of a risk. So my pick in that right wing-back slot defensively is Brighton's right back or right wing back Tariq Lamptey. I think he would be an excellent addition to the Chelsea squad. He is already proven to have potential to excel in the Premier League. Case in point, in the 11 games that he played last season, he scored, I think, 1 goal and gave 4 assists. And the only reason why he didn't get more, obviously, is because of his long-term injury. Another reason why I feel he'd be a good fit for that right wing-back role, assisting Reece James, is the fact that Brighton already play that back three system. So it would not be a new concept to him or a foreign concept when he moves from Brighton to Chelsea. So yeah, my pick for Chelsea Football Club, Tariq Lamptey. From the champions of Europe, we move on to the champions of England. And last season's champions were none other than Manchester City. I think it is very difficult to say which position Manchester City need to strengthen purely because of the fact they have at least 2, I wouldn't say world-class, but high-quality players in almost every position, except the number 9 position. With Sergio Aguero making his move to Barcelona over this summer transfer window, I think there's a massive gap left, and I believe it would be a risk for Pep to go into the season and allow the transfer window to close without having a second recognized striker in the team. I think purely because of the number of fixtures that Premier League teams play this season, it would not be advisable to do so. So for that reason, the best replacement I think for the Manchester City squad would be none other than Tottenham's number 10, Harry Kane. He is a recognized goal scorer. He is a proven striker and a proven performer in the Premier League. I think he has played about 246 games, if I'm not wrong, and has scored 166 goals and 38 assists. So I believe he is the player that Manchester City need to finally clinch, especially that European title. If Kane is in the team, Pep really won't have to really tinker with the team and play the likes of Ferran Torres in that number 9 position. I believe he is also a versatile player. We saw this last season when he was playing under Jose Mourinho, where he was actually supplying goals for Heung-min Son. So when he comes into the City team, he won't just be that box player number 9 waiting to tap in crosses from the likes of Grealish and De Bruyne. I feel he can also drop deep, receive the ball, and release players who run past him. So his versatility makes him perfect for the City team, and I believe Manchester should splash the cash in order to acquire him. Next, we move on to Liverpool. And the position I feel that Liverpool need to strengthen is the number 9 position. I think last season they really struggled to get goals as compared to the seasons where they won the Champions League and came second in the Premier League, and the season after where they won the league. So I think this season, although you may argue is due to the injury of Van Dijk and Gomez in the defensive side, the attacking side has not really been up to the standard that we expect from Liverpool Football Club. And I feel it's time to sort of improve the side and give Klopp a new dimension or a new style of play. I think that the best thing for them to do is to bring in a proper number 9, a recognized number 9, because they only currently have Roberto Firmino in the squad. And unfortunately, he plays as a false 9. So the fact that he drops deep to receive the ball and release other players puts a really, I wouldn't say bad, but a really unnecessary over-reliance on the wingers such as Mane and Salah. Case in point, last season, when they finished with 68 goals scored, 22 came from Salah and 11 from Mane, if I'm not wrong. So that's almost half the goals just coming from 2 people. So with that in mind, I think the player that would be a good fit for Liverpool Football Club as a number 9 is none other than Leicester City's Kelechi Iheanacho. The reason why I feel he would be a good replacement is his versatility. He can not only play in that number 9 spot, but he can also play in the number 10 role. He has proven that he works hard, even in tracking back. He's strong, he's good on the turn, he has the ability to finish, and the fact that he is also significantly tall means that he can become an aerial threat. When Klopp buys someone like Kelechi Iheanacho and brings him into the team, Liverpool have a different dimension to them. Sometimes in Premier League games, when things get thick, you always need that alternative to come in and sort of give the team a new dimension, play a bit more direct, and I believe that Kelechi Iheanacho would be the man for the job. Yeah, and that is my pick for Liverpool. Next, we move on to the London team, Tottenham Hotspurs. I think Tottenham are in a very, very tough situation currently with Harry Kane. I think the player wants to leave, but obviously we all know how Daniel Levy is a very tough negotiator. he won't leave until he gets the fee that he thinks he deserves for Harry Kane. But we are going to base this selection on the case if Harry Kane moves from Tottenham to Man City. And for sure, if he goes, they have to find a way of replacing his goals. I mean, Harry Kane is a three-time Premier League top goal scorer. I think the fact that Harry Kane wants to leave really makes a bad situation for Spurs catastrophically worse. Because in this summer transfer window, Eric Lamela has moved to Sevilla, and that means apart from Harry Kane, the only other players who are recognized forwards in that Tottenham team is the likes of Son, Steven Bergwijn, Dele Alli, and Lucas Moura. I don't think those four players are enough to carry a full squad for a full season, considering that Tottenham are going to play in Europe in the Europa Conference League. So the fact that if Harry Kane leaves, they have to look for a replacement. And for me, I think the replacement for him would be his understudy in the England national team, and that is none other than Everton's Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He would be the natural replacement for Harry Kane in that Tottenham squad because he is a proven goal scorer. Last season, he did score 16 goals and give 13 assists. He's very tall, 6'2", if I'm not wrong. And I think he was the player who won either the most or the second most aerial duels in the whole of Europe. So aerially, he is a threat. He is able to finish his chances. He is able and creative enough to get into goal-scoring positions and then execute them. And I feel with him added to the squad, he would at the least, I'm not saying he's a replacement for Harry Kane, but it would be better to have someone like him to kind of cushion the fall that Tottenham will probably undergo this season without the standard 25 goals from Harry Kane that the Spurs fans always receives. So yeah, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, my pick for the player that Tottenham may need to sign by the end of this transfer window. Now we move on to my favorite club, Manchester United. And being a Manchester United fan, it's pretty obvious the position that needs to be filled. And for me, it's the defensive midfield, the central defensive midfield position. I think for the longest time, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has tried to fit different players into that role with a combination of Fred and McTominay, or Matic and Fred, or Matic and McTominay, and even sometimes playing Pogba in that defensive role. But I think it's high time that Man United spend the money and find a permanent fix to this problem. Playing the likes of McTominay and Fred, who I believe are not natural central defensive midfielders, is like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. It just doesn't work. It is better to go out, get that recognized central defensive midfielder, and also once that position is duly filled, the option of playing creative players like Paul Pogba in that position is not an option anymore. I mean, if you play Pogba in that defensive role, you limit his creativity. And the moment he plays higher up the pitch, Manchester United tend to play better and score more goals. So for that reason, I feel the player who should be brought into the Manchester United squad, there are actually a couple. The first one for me would be Declan Rice from West Ham. But unfortunately, with West Ham setting his transfer fee at £100 million, I feel that would be too much of a stretch, especially for a defensive midfield player. So for me, the alternative to Declan Rice is Camavinga. So I think he would be a natural replacement. He's not necessarily the perfect DM, but he is known to play in that role. And I think signing him from Rennes would be the option that Manchester United need to go to. And lastly, we move on to Arsenal Football Club. They've not really had the best start to this season's campaign, with 2 losses from their 2 opening games against Brentford and Chelsea. This season, they have done massive spending, signing the likes of Lokonga, Nuno Tavares, and the likes of Martin Odegaard from Real Madrid. But when you watch Arsenal play this season, and especially towards the end of last season, you won't help but notice a sort of imbalance on which side they favor. I believe there's a sort of dependency on which side Arsenal choose to play. And obviously that is the left-hand side, with the likes of Kieran Tierney and Bakayo Saka playing on the left wing. There's a sort of imbalance and they tend to play a lot on the left-hand side. And this makes Arsenal's style of play a bit one-dimensional. Now, that notwithstanding, Arsenal do have really good players on that right-hand side with the likes of Pepe. But I believe that if they were to strengthen in the right back or the right wing back position, it would sort of bring back some balance to that Arsenal squad. And I believe the player who would be the perfect fit for Arsenal would be Kieran Trippier, the Atletico Madrid player and the former Tottenham Hotspur player. I believe Kieran Trippier will be a good addition to the Arsenal squad, because when you look at the ones or the players that Arsenal currently have in that role, Hector Bellerin and Cedric Soares aren't really elite level players who would take the club to new levels or help the club really improve in that sense. Kieran Trippier would bring a lot of value to the squad. He is a set piece taker. He is able to go up and down in the flanks. He can play as a right back, a right wing back, and if need be, a right midfield player. He has played in those positions previously, and generally I think he would be a massive upgrade compared to what Arsenal have in their squad currently. So yeah, for me, Kieran Trippier, Arsenal need to sign him. So that's it for today's video. If you've made it this far and enjoyed the content, kindly like, subscribe, comment, share. We really do appreciate your support that you've given us thus far. If you have any alternative picks or you have comments on the picks that we've chosen for the different teams, let us know in the comments section. Otherwise, stay safe. My name is Ian, and see you next time.